most important part about making wonderful whipped cream is starting off with an ice-cold bowl and have your cream really cold as well. I'm using the whisk beater, and now I'm pouring in 2 cups of cold, heavy cream. I like to use fine granulated sugar, tablespoon per cup. We have 2 cups here, so 2 tablespoons. And then we start with the beater slow, because if you start too fast, it splashes out. And this way, the granulated sugar will dissolve completely by putting it in right at the beginning. The important thing about whipping cream is to not whip it so much that it becomes butter. But I also don't like to whip it to be too stiff, because then it doesn't mound softly. So I will allow it to beat for about 2 minutes, and then as soon as I see the whisk marks and that it's beginning to thicken, I'll stop the beater, and you'll see the consistency that it is, and finish it off by hand. You can see the whisk marks and how nicely it's begun to thicken. I'm going to bring it up a tiny bit more. And now I'm turning it off completely. And you can see it's still a little soupy at this point. But here, I'd rather continue beating by hand, because that way I don't risk overbeating. It takes a long time to get to this point, but once it gets there, it goes very fast. And if worse comes to worse and you have turned it into butter, just keep going and then pipe it as butter. It'll be the most delicious butter cream you've ever had. Now you can see how it's beginning to peak softly and mound just a little bit more. And then I take a spoon or a spatula just to test it, and you can see that it just mounds softly and beautifully, and it's the most delicious when it's this texture. This is perfectly whipped cream. And remember, chilled bowl, cold cream, don't overbeat it, and you'll have the best possible whipped cream.